Far away in the frozen Arctic, hidden within a mountain of ice and rock, lies one of the most important places on Earth, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Built on the remote Norwegian island of Spitsbergen, this vault is often called the Noah's Ark of plants, a silent fortress built to protect the future of life itself. It holds more than 1 million varieties of seeds from nearly every nation, sealed tightly in the cold darkness at -18 degrees Celsius. Each seed is a story, a fragment of humanity's agricultural past and a hope for its survival. The idea was born when scientists realized that as modern farming spread across the world, we were losing ancient crop varieties forever. Wars, climate disasters, and modernization were wiping out centuries of genetic diversity. Carrie Fowler, an agricultural scientist, saw the danger early and imagined a global backup, a vault that would safeguard every nation's seeds against catastrophe. Norway offered a perfect home, politically neutral, geologically stable, and frozen year-round. In 2008, after years of cooperation between governments, scientists, and the UN, the Arctic Seed Vault opened. Shipments began arriving from every continent: rice from Asia, maize from the Americas, wheat from the Middle East, and beans from Africa. Each deposit carried the heritage of humanity, our best chance to restore crops if disease, disaster, or war ever erased them. Then came the true test. During the Syrian civil war, the Akarta seed bank in Aleppo, one of the world's most valuable collections, was caught in the conflict and destroyed. But because those scientists had sent duplicates of their seeds to Svalbard, they were able to rebuild their collection in Lebanon and Morocco. Years later, they returned fresh seeds to the Arctic Vault, completing a circle of survival. Yet even the safest vault on Earth faces danger. In 2017, melting permafrost caused water to seep into the vault's entrance tunnel, a sign that climate change had reached even the top of the world. Though the seeds remained safe, the message was clear: no place on Earth is immune to the consequences of our actions. The vault stands today as a reminder of both human fragility and foresight, proof that we can prepare for tomorrow if we act together today. Deep inside that frozen mountain, millions of seeds wait quietly in the dark, the guardians of tomorrow, carrying within them the possibility of renewal if the world above ever falls silent. Hidden in the Arctic Circle, far beyond the lands where trees can grow and where the night can last for months, a silent structure lies buried in the side of a frozen mountain. It is not a military bunker, not a research laboratory, and not a monument of conquest. It is a vault built for life itself. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, often called the Noah's Ark of plants, stands as one of humanity's most ambitious and least understood creations. It is the backup hard drive of civilization, designed to protect the genetic foundation of our food from the disasters of tomorrow. From the outside it looks simple, a triangular concrete wedge jutting out from a snowy slope on the island of Spitsbergen, part of Norway's Svalbard archipelago. But behind that unassuming door lies a tunnel that descends into the permafrost, leading to chambers that hold more than 1 million seed samples from every corner of the world. Each seed represents a story of adaptation and survival, a record of how life learned to endure heat, cold, drought, and disease. Together they form the memory of agriculture, the memory of how humanity learned to feed itself. The idea of such a place was born not from science fiction but from necessity. In the 20th century, as industrial agriculture spread and monocultures took over global farming, scientists began to realize that something precious was disappearing. For thousands of years, farmers had cultivated countless varieties of crops: wheats that thrived in salty soil, rices that grew in flood waters, maize that resisted drought, but in the name of efficiency most of those varieties were abandoned. Each one lost was a potential defense against future crises. The erosion of genetic diversity was invisible but devastating, like deleting the only backup of a manuscript written by nature over 10,000 years. Agricultural researchers began to gather and store seeds in local and national collections, but those collections were fragile. Some were lost in wars, others to floods or neglect, and many simply ran out of funding. By the 1970s it was clear that the world needed a safer solution, something that could outlast governments, conflicts, and even the collapse of civilization itself. One of the people who saw this need most clearly was Carey Fowler, an American agricultural scientist working with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. He knew that even the best seed banks were vulnerable. A single fire, a power failure, or a political crisis could erase unique genetic material forever. His vision was bold and simple: to create a global backup vault that would preserve duplicates of every important seed variety on Earth in one of the coldest, most stable places possible. When he searched for that perfect location, one place stood out: Svalbard, a remote chain of islands between mainland Norway and the North Pole. Here the ground stays frozen year-round, the region is politically neutral, and the area is geologically stable. Even if the world's power grids failed, the natural cold of the Arctic could keep seeds frozen for centuries. Norway agreed to host the project, offering land and funding. The design was minimal but powerful: a long steel tunnel leading to 3 storage chambers carved deep into the rock, kept at -18 degrees Celsius, and protected by multiple security systems. In February 2008, after years of planning, the vault officially opened. Representatives from dozens of countries arrived with boxes of seeds packed in foil and plastic, each labeled and sealed, ready to rest in the cold darkness. The symbolism was profound. Nations that might not trust each other with weapons or politics were entrusting each other with life itself. The vault was built not for one generation but for thousands. Inside, there is no hierarchy. Seeds from a small African village sit beside samples from vast U.S. research centers. Ancient grains share shelves with modern hybrids. Every box bears the name of the country that owns it. Because the vault does not take possession, each deposit remains the property of its donor. This global cooperation turned Svalbard into a quiet epicenter of unity. Scientists and diplomats alike saw it as a statement that humanity could think beyond borders when it came to survival. For years the vault remained closed to the world, its door sealed except for new deposits. Journalists called it the Doomsday Vault, imagining it would open only after an apocalypse. But the real story was quieter and more human. In 2011, civil war erupted in Syria. Among the casualties was a remarkable institution, the International Center for Agricultural Research in the Dry Areas, or ICARDA, based in Aleppo. Its scientists had spent decades collecting seeds adapted to hot, dry regions, the kind of plants humanity will desperately need in a warming world. As fighting intensified, the researchers had to flee. Power was cut, the fields were destroyed, and the seed bank was trapped in a war zone. Yet years earlier, Icarta had sent duplicates of its collection to Svalbard. In 2015, for the first time, the vault was opened not for deposit but for withdrawal. Boxes were shipped to new locations in Lebanon and Morocco, where scientists replanted the seeds, regrew them, and began restoring their collection. It was proof that the idea worked. The vault had fulfilled its purpose. When the seeds were later redeposited, they represented not only preservation but rebirth, a cycle of loss and renewal that echoed the rhythm of nature itself. Still, even this fortress of ice is not invincible. In 2017, as global temperatures rose, an unexpected thaw caused meltwater to seep into the vault's entrance tunnel. Although the storage rooms remained untouched and the seeds were safe, the incident sparked alarm around the world. The image of the doomsday vault being threatened by climate change was almost too symbolic to believe. If even the Arctic was no longer safe, what was? The Norwegian government quickly reinforced the entrance, improved waterproofing, and upgraded systems, but the message lingered: climate change spares nothing, not even our plans to survive it. Yet the vault continues its quiet work. Each year new deposits arrive, carried in by scientists from far-flung nations. There are now seeds from over 100 countries, stored in boxes that line metal shelves stretching down the cold corridors. Inside those small packets are answers to questions the future will ask. How will we grow food when droughts intensify? What crops will feed billions when old ones fail? The answers already exist in nature's code. Svalbard simply keeps them safe until we need them. The vault is also a lesson in humility. It reminds us that no technology can replace the wisdom of biodiversity. For thousands of years, farmers have experimented, selected, and adapted seeds to every climate imaginable. Their work, passed down through generations, created the variety that modern science now fights to preserve. Without those ancient farmers, there would be nothing to save. The Svalbard Vault is more than a building, it is a mirror reflecting who we are as a species, capable of great destruction but also of foresight and care. Its corridors hold the quiet heartbeat of cooperation in a world often defined by competition. Behind every box of seeds lies a story of people who believed in a future they would never see: farmers in Ethiopia carefully selecting teff, scientists in the Philippines preserving rare rice, indigenous communities in the Andes sending potatoes that grow at impossible altitudes. Their contributions converge in this frozen library where no sunlight reaches and yet where the promise of new life sleeps. The vault has also become a symbol in global debates about food security, climate change, and ownership of nature. Some critics argue that the existence of such a backup makes governments complacent, believing technology alone can solve ecological collapse. Others worry about corporate influence, noting that many major seed collections belong to multinational companies. Yet despite the politics, the vault's operation remains deliberately simple and neutral. It is managed by the Norwegian government in partnership with the Crop Trust and the Nordic Genetic Resource Centre, and it serves everyone equally, rich or poor, large or small. The philosophy behind it is that no nation can survive alone in a crisis of food. The genetic foundation of crops must be shared, because hunger knows no borders. In this way, the vault stands as both a physical and moral statement about interdependence. It is a reminder that cooperation is not charity but survival. Every time a new deposit arrives, it carries with it the collective hope of humanity that even if the fields burn or the rains fail, we will not have erased the blueprint for beginning again. The silence of Svalbard hides that quiet optimism. Beyond its steel door, temperatures never rise above -18, and the hum of freezers is the only sound. Dust does not settle, time almost stops. Inside, the air smells faintly of metal and frozen earth. Yet the boxes are labeled in dozens of languages, tiny testaments to a world that, for once, agreed on something important. The vault is designed to last for centuries, even without maintenance. Its remote location deters conflict, its geological stability protects it from earthquakes. If the world outside were to vanish tomorrow, the seeds within could remain viable for hundreds of years, waiting for someone to return. That thought is both comforting and haunting. It suggests that we expect collapse to come, but also that we refuse to surrender to it. The very act of building the vault is an act of defiance against despair. It says, we believe there will be someone left to open the door. As climate change accelerates, the need for such faith grows. In recent years, wildfires, floods, and shifting seasons have destroyed harvests across continents. Crops that once thrived are failing, pests are spreading to new regions. The world's food systems, intricate and interconnected, are showing cracks. The vault's purpose is not merely to store seeds but to preserve the adaptability that evolution gave us. Within its frozen shelves lie drought-resistant wheats, heat-tolerant maize, flood-loving rice traits that could one day be the difference between famine and survival. In that sense, it is not only a museum of the past but a toolkit for the future. Scientists continue to discover new possibilities in old varieties, drawing on the genetic diversity locked away beneath the Arctic. When pandemics or wars disrupt supply chains, or when a changing climate threatens global yields, these genetic resources become lifelines. The irony is profound. Humanity, which once scattered seeds to create abundance, now gathers them in a vault to ensure abundance can return. Yet the story of the seed vault is not purely scientific. It is also deeply human. The people who work there describe an emotional connection to the seeds they store, a sense of guardianship. Each packet represents generations of farmers who never knew their work would end up in a high-tech freezer near the North Pole. Many of those varieties come from regions already suffering from environmental decline. For the communities that send them, contributing to Svalbard is an act of cultural preservation as much as biological protection. The vault thus serves as a bridge between ancient traditions and modern science, between the rhythm of hand-sown fields and the precision of climate-controlled storage. In its quiet way, it honors every person who ever placed a seed into the ground and hoped for growth. There is poetry in that hope, and irony too, because the same civilization that caused mass extinction is the one now trying desperately to save what remains. But perhaps that is what progress truly means, learning to protect what we once took for granted. The mountain above the vault endures blizzards, shifting ice, and months of darkness, yet the small light at its entrance continues to glow, a signal to anyone who looks up from the icy valley that somewhere beneath the cold rock, humanity's memory is safe. Visitors who make the long journey to Svalbard often describe a strange feeling as they stand before the door. There are no guards, no noise, no movement, only wind and the distant sound of cracking ice. It feels like standing on the threshold of time itself. Inside that stillness, the arrogance of human civilization fades. What remains is humility, the understanding that our survival depends on fragile grains and seeds smaller than a fingernail. Those tiny forms hold the DNA of life, a code written long before us and, if we are wise, lasting long after. When the vault was built, some critics mocked it as a pessimistic monument, proof that humanity expects to fail. But perhaps it is the opposite. Perhaps it is the most optimistic structure ever made, proof that even in an age of uncertainty, we still plan for continuity. The vault is not about apocalypse, it is about preparation. It is not built on fear but on responsibility. Every sample frozen inside is a promise whispered into the future. We were here, we cared, and we wanted you to have a chance. The world outside the mountain will continue to change, seas rising, forests burning, cities expanding, but deep within the permafrost the seeds sleep on, waiting for a time when they will be needed again. When that day comes, when fields must be replanted and life must begin anew, the key to recovery will already exist in the silent heart of the Arctic. Until then, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault stands as humanity's insurance policy against oblivion, a cold beacon of hope that reminds us of what we can lose and what we can save. It is the guardian of tomorrow, holding in its frozen chambers not just the seeds of plants but the seeds of possibility, of renewal, and of our shared belief that even in the darkest times, something living, something green, will always find a way to grow.